Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio, your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents The Corner Bookstore, hosted by Red O'Loughlin. Step into a world where every story inspires. These pages come to life through the voices of authors from around the globe. Written by our global community of TV show hosts and best-selling authors, these works span genres, generations, and geographies, united by the power of storytelling. Discover your next favorite book and meet the minds behind the work. Thursdays, only on USA Global TV and Radio.
Howdy, Red O'Loughlin here. We're on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. I'm a researcher. I research the human body at the cellular level. Chemically speaking, I look for cause and effect relationships. That's what I write about. That's what I speak about. I just enjoy that deep dive into the human body as well. This okay, makes it much easier to understand and to be able to identify problems before they happen. Anyway, that's what I do in my fun time. I'm also here on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. I do 3 shows every Thursday. The first one here is the Corner Bookstore. Next is going to be the Wise Ones. And then I have another show by myself called Talking Heads. And today is one of those rare days I get a chance to interview my boss, Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Dr. Kerbeck, can you please join me up here on stage?
Hello, Red. Thanks for having me.
Welcome back to the United States. You've been gone for a couple of weeks. Tell us a little bit about that.
Oh my goodness, Red, it was so exciting. I can't even tell you. I went to London, then I went to Paris, then Milan, then Vienna, and then back to London. And I met with a number of our team members, and just to give somebody a hug or shake their hands was just so rewarding. And I got to teach my class, Setting Boundaries and Asking Permission. And I attended the Royal Ascot Day, which is a true dream. And I met with our dear friend, Roland Friedel, who is now our partner, our country partner in Germany, Switzerland, and in Austria. And he's already got a client coming on board to do his entire show in German.
I'm so happy. We talked about that not that long ago, about being able to have a true worldwide audience. And that would mean, yes, you're going to have shows in French and Spanish and other languages. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now, one of the things that we all have dreams, and one of the dreams, I guess, when you left corporate world not that many years ago, just literally the first day of COVID, if I remember correctly, and you started your empire that you have now, so to speak, the USA Global TV and Radio Network. Somewhere in there was a dream to write a book. And I was one of the guests on a show way back when, and you said, can you help me? And we got that first book out. And what do you have now? What, 113 books that you've published?
I think I have 18 and we've got 3 more because I came up with another one, which I didn't even tell you about yet, about teaching children etiquette based on what I experienced when I was traveling, which was somewhat horrific.
And so when you're in this, you had this dream, and what was actually the dreaming part? I want to be an author. Obviously, you want to share information, you want to add value to people's lives, but was there any other part of that at that time?
Absolutely. In fact, I have my book here, which it's funny because you and I worked on this first one. It seems like it was years ago, which it was. Well, I think it was 2021, Red. It was behind the green screen. And I really wrote this book just to show exactly what it was I was doing because I didn't have any experience in this field. But I also had some stories I really wanted to get out about what had happened to me when I was in corporate. I've been in corporate for a long time. And typically I was working in a man's world. And it was a lot of stress and demands and a lot of travel. And so I wanted to kind of share with people my journey about how and why I left the corporate world.
And you started the USA Global TV and Radio Network, and it actually started under a different name, but that's not important right now. What is important is the fact that you had a couple shows, and there's a couple more shows, and a couple more shows. And I was blown away because you published something yesterday saying I was the number one, the first 6 months of 2025, I was the number one host of all the shows that have been done this year. And whoa, I mean, you embarrassed me a lot. And unfortunately, I'm sitting here by myself reading it so nobody else sees me turn red. But the thing is, it dawned on me as I was going through looking at the other people that are hosting shows, is that it's kind of like Dr. Jacalyn in her own vision, because you have a lot of different hosts across the world on different topics. It's not that we dominate on health and wellness, or we dominate on fashion, or we dominate on some other aspect. You cover, I think right now, at 50, 55, 60 different shows that are available on a monthly basis. Is that right?
Yes, that is definitely correct. And I think the part of it, and by the way, I just wanted to show everyone this because I think this is outstanding. It is actually the number one. You had the most views of any episode. And the funny thing is, it's an episode that we did together, I believe, last year or the year before, and people absolutely love it, with Dark Joseph Ravine. So congratulations, Red. And I think on our other channel, you also are in the top 10. So, and then on the shorts, you're in the top 10. So for people who are looking to find out what's the best way to be a professional international broadcaster, you've got the man right here who can give you the information.
Well, thank you so very much. You're starting to make me blush again. Okay, well, let's get into
Red. That's right.
Okay, so you wrote the first book, Behind the Green Screen, and that as you said, talked about what were you doing, but your bigger vision is in listening, and you're the chief listening officer. Why listening? Why is that such a critical deal, and why have you written so many books on it?
Thanks for the question, Red. I think because I felt for a lot of my life that I wasn't listened to. And I've shared this before. I have ulcerative colitis, and a lot of times it impacted my work as an executive traveling around. And people would say, can't you just take Pepto-Bismol, or it's all in your mind? And nobody would ever listen to me until I found the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. And then I felt like I had a safe place to share because people were actually listening to me. And then that's really why I started rapping with Dr. Jacalyn, was because of the Crohn's Colitis Foundation. I wanted to give other patients an opportunity to share their story. So our first show was Stories of Hope, Inspiration, and Overcoming Adversity. And then that was completely booked out for a year. And so then we had another show and then another show. But to me, I feel like, especially with this television platform, we are all about elevated listening. You are, I am, our team members are. And that really differentiates us from anyone else who's out there, because we're not following a script. We're not asking questions because we want to know what the answers are. And I'm going to come back to you now. I think I might have shared this, but there was recently an interview from a very well-known A-list celebrity in the States, and he's had some kind of altercation allegedly with one of his former castmates. And he did an interview for a brand new show that he has, and he specifically said, as people told them, the interviewer and the team, do not ask anything about the situation. And they asked 3 different times about the situation. And finally, the guy just got up and walked out. He said, why would you do that? So we don't practice any of those things here. And I think when people come to our platform, they feel heard, they feel respected. And I just think it's a big part of emotional intelligence.
Well, you gave me some very good advice when I first started out. He says, my main job as a host is to make the guest the star of the show. And so once you have that mindset, it's not about me, because I can obviously fill up a lot of time, but we're adding value. You're adding value to people's lives with the shows you put on, but you're also adding value because if we're listening, we're absorbing more value that's coming our way. And I think that's super critical, is the fact that the value's out there. It's going back and forth. It's on the airwaves. But if we're not listening and understanding, then it's just something else as part of our day. Let's get back to the writing books, because I know that's one of your favorite things. Okay, so we have 3 more to do this year. Okay, I'm ready.
That's for now. That's for now.
Okay, we have a commercial break coming up in about 3 minutes. So when you started writing, did you have any vision that you would actually be writing children's books?
I didn't. And part of the reason, I think, was because I don't have any children, and I've never really spent a lot of time around children. That might sound ridiculous, obviously, when I was a child. But then my nephew and his wife had beautiful Ella. And so Lady Ella and the whole Lady Ella book series was born. And here we have the first book. And of course, now as time has gone by, Ella now has a brother, Jack. So, of course, we have to have a series of books about Jack and Ella. So that's kind of how the whole thing started. And since I've been writing the children's books, I have a completely different feeling and perspective about children. I just love them. And I love their curiosity, and I love the innocence. And I think to myself, at some point they'll get a kneecap, right? There's no kneecap for a certain amount of time. And at some point somebody will tell them, don't do that. You're not good at that. You'll never be this or that, things that many of us have been told about in our lives. And so I kind of want to keep that innocence and that curiosity alive for as long as possible. And I feel like through writing, I can do that.
But we as parents are not trained to listen. We're not trained in most cases, to handle finances. And we're definitely not trained to handle relationships. And there's probably another 6 things that I wish they had taught that in grade school, or I wish they had, at least had a class on that. I was talking to my grandson one day about some aspect of how the subconscious mind actually works. And he was mesmerized. He said, why don't they teach that in high school? But there's just so many topics out there that are really and truly of immense value, and listening is one of them. And so if you can start, a 4 or 5-year-old at least aware of the fact that listening is critical, and there are certain things you can do to improve it, and it doesn't cost you anything, just a little awareness, correct?
Yes, it's so true. But I think the thing that really gets me, Red, is people know they have issues in their relationships. I mean, I just watched on a train, this mother scream and yell at her child and then slap him across the face. I mean, it was unbelievable. They know their issues, but yet they don't step forward and say, let me take a course or let me read a book. I think because people become highly emotional, they no longer are able to think rationally. And so therefore, there's even more need for listening skills. I just wish that people would take a look at their own lives, as you do, as I do, and raise their hand and say, you know what, I need some help. I could be a better listener. But instead, people are, in my experience, they'll blame it on their partner. They'll come to a class because they'll say, at home, he doesn't do this or she doesn't do that. And then they realize it's them, that they're part of the problem too. So getting people to have that awareness and that humility that, yes, I need some help, I think is the biggest challenge.
We're coming up on a commercial break here in just literally a couple seconds. So when we come back, I want to get into one of your favorite topics, and that is artificial intelligence, AI. So when we come back from the commercial break, we'll introduce that topic.
All right, here we go.
In a world craving connection, one platform dared to dream bigger. USA Global TV and Radio, a beacon for global voices, authentic storytelling, and elevated listening. Led by visionary Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, the journey from a spark to a global force is now captured in one inspiring book. Honored with YouTube's Silver Creator Award for surpassing 100,000 subscribers, discover the evolution, the challenges, the triumphs, and the unstoppable spirit that created a global movement. Executive producer Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang. Creative director Paul Garcia. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication, or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited. Now an Amazon #1 new release in paperback and ebook. Broadcasting Brilliance, the evolution of USA Global TV and Radio, is inspiring readers around the world. Join the movement that's redefining global media one story at a time.
This is Red O'Loughlin on the Corner Bookstore on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And my guest today is Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, the founder and chief listening officer of the USA Global TV and Radio Network. And congratulations, Dr. Jacalyn, on the Silver Creator Award from YouTube for 100,000 subscribers. I know we've talked about that briefly in the past, but the commercial just reminded me of it, and I just wanted to make sure that we cover that also. So, AI, tell us a little bit about how you were introduced to AI and how you use it.
Well, that would be through you, my friend, through one of our conversations. And you told me about artificial intelligence. And I have to say, you interview a number of people on this show and you ask them about artificial intelligence and they'll say, no, I don't use it. We've heard that many, many times. I do use it. And I feel almost like I didn't know there was a paid version of ChatGPT until you told me. So I signed up for that. And I find that it's like having an assistant in the office. Sometimes it's like having a team of people. It's incredible. And what it can do has to be monitored because it's not always right. Artificial intelligence makes a number of mistakes. But it's like any person in a relationship, you look for the good. So I look for the areas where I think it really provides a lot of value. So, for example, I have a new book about teaching children etiquette. And so I asked artificial intelligence, how many other books are out there? What are the titles? Because I know you and I had talked way back from behind the green screen, you know, what's your competition doing? And you can't copyright a title, but you can find out what are the other books that are out there. And for people thinking, oh, you can have AI write the entire book. Sure, you could, but then you didn't write it. So, you know, you have to be able to live with yourself and say to yourself, you know, is any of your skill set in there?
Well, people use AI and don't realize it's AI. It's, you know, spell checkers, grammar checkers. And when you come up to AI and you say, edit this for me, because editing is such a major portion of any author's work. And I remember the first time I took 20 pages, I put it in there and I got 2 paragraphs back. I said, maybe I used the wrong question. And so it was an eye opener. But then I said, okay, edit it for grammar. Okay, that worked well. Edited for diction, edited for spelling, edited for very thing. But then I said, tell me, how do I'm talking to AI, how do I ask the question? This is my end result. This is what I want. Tell me how I ask you that question. And I got a nice little paragraph and I just copied that, pasted it in there, and I could put 20 pages in and I get a pretty decent, sterile rendition of my writing. And then I'll say, proofread it for 7th grade level. Now I get another version. Now I have something that I can run back through a couple other grammar checkers or whatever, and then look at, okay, fine, that's not exactly what I want to. And so I kind of make the decision as to which way I'm going. And we've done this many, many times. We have, here's the vision, here's the picture, but it's not what you want. And and you say, that's not what I want, Red. And so we're using the tool to help us get to a place where we have a conundrum, and then we solve that problem and move on. And I think that's a very good use of AI.
I would agree with you. And I think to your point, AI is so much more prevalent than what we realize. Anytime there's a chat box, or you call, for example, in the States, we have Xfinity. So a lot of Xfinity and the routing that it does is through artificial intelligence. It's through technology also, but there's a lot of screening that takes place before you can even speak to a human being anymore, which is really kind of annoying. Or we can send you a link to open a case. We'll text it to you, and then this way you don't have to speak to anyone. Or even when you talk into your phone, into Siri, I'm using voice to text all the time. So there are a lot of tools out there, but I think voice to text is a great one because I have a bad habit. I'm admitting it, raising my hand. I use voice to text all the time. So anybody who knows me, I'm using voice to text. And later, well, if I'm reading the response from someone, I'll look at what I wrote. I'm like, wow, that was really way off. And I didn't bother to check. It will not put the word going. It always puts gonna. And that's not something I would ever say. So we have to be on top of it as well.
Yeah. Okay. So you have your books on listening, and you're using that to help business communities, to help school, to help a number of different areas. And you have just published a book on broadcasting, which kind of celebrates the Silver Creator Award. Do you have a copy of that one in front of you by chance?
I do. Yeah, it's funny because I went to Europe and I took a lot of my books with me, probably about 12 pounds worth of books. so I don't have a lot of them with me, but I do have this. This was at home. So this is actually a tribute to everybody in our team. It actually has in here the various, like here's Tracy with dementia home care. I just opened that, and here's Zane, and you know about it because you helped me put it together. So it's a labor of love, and I feel that when I thought about it, I thought, who's going to be reading this? Why would someone pick up a copy of this? And obviously, anyone who's on our team would want to have a copy of it, and then anyone who is interested in how do I build my own broadcasting network, because we have to start somewhere, and getting advice from us. You've been with me since the beginning, and we've had tremendous amounts of growth, and I'm excited for where we're going, but that this book could help someone.
Okay, so you're putting a book together as an author, and you kind of have in your mind, this is what I need to spit out and kind of play with a little bit. So I remember in that particular book we started, and we changed a chapter. We moved that one back. We took a chapter out. We added a couple of chapters. So for people that are writing, it's not you just write something and that's it. It changes a lot. And sometimes, I'll work with a client, and I've had 2 clients now that have given me 800-page books. And, one of them I said, we really, let's make 2 books out of that, or even 3. But another one, depending on, I can't, all has to be in there. Okay, well, you're the author, it's your intellectual property. We'll make it happen. But, people don't want to buy a 500-page book unless there's some real value in there for it. And so when you're putting your books together, 2 or 3 things have to happen. Number one, the flow has to be right. But then you also have to have the editing, and getting yourself ready. We try to market your books at the same time that you're writing them. And so when you're looking at marketing yourself as an author, marketing your book, you want to go down 2 train tracks, one that I'm writing the book and one that I'm actually marketing the book at the same time. So tell us how you do that.
That's a great question. Thanks for asking it. So what I have to say is, for people out there who have a publishing house or publishing company that they're working with, you and I are now working with a publishing house. But when I first started, I was doing everything, which was just self-publishing. And for self-publishing, I think it's different than if you have an actual publisher, because the publisher will want to put the book out there probably 6 to 9 months in advance. And so then there's a tremendous amount of buildup until the book actually comes out, or you would hope that there is. So with me doing self-publishing, there's not as much of the fanfare as you would think, from coming from months and months and months. It's really maybe 2 or 3 months. And then for me, the goal always is, because you know how I am with my gold stars read, is for the book to be a #1 new release or a #1 best-selling book. And that takes an incredible amount of discipline and structure, because as you know, Red, you taught me this, we have to check on Amazon literally every hour to see if that coveted banner is there. And so I take that on myself because I'm not going to miss it. I'm not going to let another company do that. I'm up all night checking every single hour. And then we also do book launch TV shows here, which we have this platform. So why not do it? So I think going forward, I think that I'd like to have more postings in advance, but you know how I am. I told you I have 3 more books coming in. So no, I'm not waiting till next year. And I think if I could just add one more thing, I think part of the reason is I'm not looking to get rich by writing books. I'm looking to change someone's life for the better. And so to me, people say, why are you giving your books away? Because I can give them away, and I'm hoping that it'll change someone's life. And that's what's really important to me.
We also found out that, let's say you have a particular book and it's in a category, and for whatever reason you can't get out of the top 100,000, 10,000, 1,000, but you change a category and then boom, you're down to less than 10. The category you choose for whatever genre, whatever title you have is super critical. But most people, they just, okay, they'll put in 2 categories, walk away, and that's it. They don't realize that they have a lot of flexibility. But if you're not checking, as you say, literally every hour to see what's going on, are you making any progress? Are you staying at 158,000 that hasn't changed in 3 days? Well, maybe there's something wrong. It's a clue. It's a really big clue, and we'll change something. And as you mentioned earlier, there's some competitor analysis that you can do on the front end to see, well, how does your book stack up against others? I do this quite often with my clients with regard to the covers, because the cover is what attracts people's attention, whether it's a digital image on Amazon that you're going through, or you're walking through a bookstore, which a lot of people aren't doing much of anymore. But you have to grab attention somewhere. And sometimes that attention is, let's just change the category to something else. I've seen some really weird categories. #1 best-selling author in a category that I don't have any idea in the world what that's about. But they have to live with their decisions, but that's what they want.
I'm so glad that you said that, because that is truly what it's about. You could pick a category that has absolutely nothing to do with what you've written, but then really, should you have earned the badge for performing at a certain level? For me, no, I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep at night, because if someone looked and saw that my children's book is in, how to do hairstyling, no, that's not right. Because certain categories, there are not going to be as many books that are coming out. And when you think about children's books, there's so many children's books that come out, or self-help books. And so those categories, and of course with children, they define it even further. But I look at everything as a business opportunity. So when you're writing a book, you have to have a plan. Is your plan just to get the book out there, just so you can say you've written a book, or are you looking to achieve something? And for me, what my gold stars are. So I have to plan out for the entire weekend or the few days before the book comes out. I'm completely dedicated to marketing that and getting that book to be where I want it to be. And it's possible to do it. You just have to know how to do it. And of course, you taught it to me. So therefore, we've got 2 of us here who know how to do it.
But your very, very important point is the fact that some people, all they want to do is be a published author. Maybe they do a certain speech and they need something to sell at the back of the room. That they're happy with that situation. I'm a published author. Here's my book. That adds to my credibility. And so there's a lot to be said just for that. But we're getting toward the end of the show, and I'd like you to do 2 things for me, Dr. Jacalyn. Number 1, is there something that you wanted to mention today that we haven't touched? And we're going to do that first. And then to wrap up the show, I want you to go ahead and tell people how they can get in touch with you.
Thank you, Red. I appreciate that. Yes. So, what I'd like to share is when it comes to listening, of course, I've got the children's books and then I've got Mastering the Power of Elevated Listening, which I don't have any more of because I literally gave them all away at book signings. I am going to be doing a number of retreats and I'm working with the wonderful Mr. Philip Sykes. So, I'm planning a retreat in August. It's around the corner. I put it out to the universe and it's going to happen. It's a listening retreat, and it's also going to include a master class that Philip's going to be teaching when it comes to etiquette and manners. So it's in London, and then we're going to be doing the same type of thing in Florida in November. So stay tuned for those details. And then the last thing I want to mention is our reunion show is coming up, which is always a blast, and I believe it's July 22nd. So if you've ever been a guest on one of our shows or you're on our team and you'd like to be part of the reunion show, it's an opportunity for you to have 15 minutes of fame where you're talking about the value that you're bringing to the world. So thank you very much, Red.
And how do people get in touch with you, Dr. Jacalyn?
They can get in touch with me a number of ways. This is my LinkedIn. So you can connect with me here on LinkedIn. I would love that. You can also connect with our team here on usaglobaltv.com. And I want to add, because I'm really excited about this, you'll see across the top, you'll see shows, join us, and I don't know exactly how to say this, but mitmachen, I think, which is join us in German. So we now have a page where people can go to sign up for our services in German. The services are limited so that we can control what's going on in the beginning. And you can contact Mr. Roland Friedel. And then finally, we have our first French show coming up next week with Reverend Lydia Fujiris, who will soon be Reverend Doctor.
Oh, wow. Didn't know that.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Jacalyn, I have a show coming up here very shortly that I need to prepare for. And with that, I'm going to bid you adieu. And it was so nice just chatting with you today. It seemed like we know each other, but we don't really have that much time to really talk to each other. So anyway, I love today. Thank you so very much.
Thank you. And I want to say happy 57th wedding anniversary to you and your lovely, beautiful bride. I'm really happy for you both.
Oh, thank you very much. It's been an interesting time. We got together about 60 years ago. 57 and a half years ago, I proposed. She accepted. July 3rd was a Wednesday. We got married on a Wednesday night. And so 2 kids, 3 grandkids, 1 great grandson. Later, we're still doing very, very well and just enjoying life. So, Dr. Jacalyn, thank you so very much for that plug to make me blush just a little bit more. Okay, that being said, okay.
Bye for now.
Take care. I'll catch you later next week. Okay, so our next show coming up in about 10 minutes or so is called The Wise Ones. I hope you join me for that. My show after that is called Talking Heads, and I'm talking about longevity secrets updated. There's literally a dozen hallmarks of aging, and I'll be going through them. And from what I'm looking at right now, it's probably going to be a 2-part show. I already have many more slides than I typically go through, so rather than try to rush through everything, they would just take the time. But there's a lot of things that we can do very, very easily, simply, and literally at no cost to make our later years in life much more enjoyable, much more healthier. So with that being said, Red O'Loughlin here, checking out on the Corner Bookstore, and we'll catch you next week. Bye now.
From the magical world of the amazing adventures of Lady Ella comes a heartwarming new journey filled with kindness, courage, and compassion. Lady Ella, the beloved ladybug and listening mentor, is back, and this time she is not alone. Meet her brave and thoughtful brother, Lord Jack. Together, they take flight on their very first kindness adventure. Along the way, they meet 3 new friends in need: a duck feeling discouraged, a mouse struggling to be understood, and a busy little bee who's completely lost. But with the power of elevated listening and simple acts of kindness, Lady Ella and Lord Jack show us how understanding and empathy can make the biggest difference in someone's day. Written by Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, the listening mentor, this 9th book in the best-selling Lady Ella series teaches children ages 5 to 10 the essential skills of listening, kindness, and etiquette. Now available for pre-order on Amazon. Scan the QR code and order your copy today.
What if one simple skill could change the way you connect with the world? What if listening could open doors to deeper relationships, stronger businesses, and a better you? Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck, the Listening Mentor, brings you USA Global TV and Radio, a space where voices are heard, ideas are shared, and global communities thrive. Through the elevated listeners' courses and books, you'll master the power of listening, set boundaries with confidence, and transform conversations into opportunities. Join us. Listen, learn, elevate. Whether you're a leader, a coach, a business owner, or someone seeking stronger connections, your journey starts today. Subscribe, learn, and transform today.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA-Global-TV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Music by Johnny Dies. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Copyright 2025. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.